And how's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Count here with a brand new Pokemon Go discussion video. And today I wanted to talk about a couple of controversies that Niantic is currently facing. Once again, Niantic is getting some backlash from the community over something that I believe was meant to be something very positive, but it ended up kind of blowing up in their face. Now, what exactly am I talking about here? Well, recently Niantic announced that they were going to be testing out a couple of new upcoming features in certain regions, and when the details regarding these new features came out, a lot of players were unhappy about a couple of things. So that's precisely what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. So let's roll the intro and get right into it. Alrighty people, before we get started, let's go over a couple of housekeeping things. First and foremost, if it's your first time here to my YouTube channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as that little bell. I make a whole bunch of different Pokemon Go related videos, and I do plan to cover other games in the future as well. And yeah, if you don't want to miss out on any of that content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you ended up enjoying this video, make sure you hit that like button as well to help out the algorithm so that I could push my videos out to more people. And yeah, so with that said, let's get right into it. First and foremost, Niantic is once again facing controversy from the community, and I really want to know if Niantic is just in that place where anything they announce or anything that they have released is going to generate some backlash, like if they're always going to get mixed reactions. I really do not know if that's the state that they're currently in, but considering their track record of making a whole bunch of different blunders and mistakes over the past couple of years, it may be that the community is just kind of always seeing Niantic in a very negative light. Now, unfortunately, this is kind of applying to a recent announcement that they were going to make adjustments to the current gameplay as well as add new features related to Pokestops and gyms, and on paper I actually thought this announcement was pretty exciting. So to further explain what exactly the backlash is all about, let's first go over what the upcoming changes are going to be. First and foremost, they're adding a handful of small quality of life improvements, especially related to egg hatches. I think this is something that a lot of players have been asking for, but it'd be really nice if you could skip a couple of animations when you hatch eggs, and that's precisely what they are adding. And this could lead to a lot of other quality of life improvements related to eggs, but for now we're going to be able to skip hatch animations. And then they're adding a bunch of stuff for new players, which I think is always something really good. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of indifferent regarding this. I mean, they're going to be able to complete a brand new special research that I'm assuming is going to help them along and kind of teach them the game. And they're also going to allow you to get some nickname suggestions if you can't think of your username. They're also going to be adding more trainer tips to the game, which, I mean, yeah, it's going to be important for new players, considering that if you're jumping into Pokemon Go now at this point, there's just going to be so much that you will need to catch up on. I mean, just over time, we've just had so many different things added to Pokemon Go that even if you are a returning player, I'm sure it's going to be really overwhelming. But yeah, I'm kind of indifferent when it comes to this stuff, mainly because if you think about the core of the Pokemon Go player base, it's going to be players that have been playing the game for a long time. These are the players that are going to keep the game alive, and it's going to be very rare that you would find a brand new Pokemon Go player staying with the game over a long period of time. I mean, yes, there's going to be brand new players joining the game every day, but I think at this point the game has reached a point where it's going to be the longtime players that Niantic should really cater to. Now, the feature that they announced that is getting everyone's feathers ruffled is the new feature that will allow you to power up Pokestops and gyms through AR mapping tasks. And this has always been something that a lot of players have seen as a big negative for Pokemon Go. AR mapping, for one reason or another, has been one of the most controversial features of Pokemon Go. And the reason for that is of course because there's a lot of rumors and speculation that AR mapping tasks are causing certain Pokestops and gyms from getting removed. Now this is something that has never been validated, it's only been through just circumstantial evidence, and there's a lot of players out there that absolutely believe this is the case. But I actually do not know. I've never actually experienced it myself. I've only heard things from other players that they've had Pokestops removed after doing a whole bunch of AR mapping tasks. It really is circumstantial though, because there is a possibility that yes, AR mapping tasks are removing Pokestops and gyms, but it could also be with other players abusing Niantic Wayfarer, or it's because there is a business or a park district that doesn't want a whole bunch of people in their area, so they actually request to have those Pokestops removed. But for one reason or another, AR mapping tasks have become the scapegoat for removed Pokestops and gyms. And I can understand that because Niantic really hasn't communicated much regarding this topic and many other topics related to it. So if players are going off of what they see and what they hear about, then yes, that is exactly what they are going to believe. So how does this all relate to the new functionalities when it comes to Pokestops and gyms? Well, there is this new feature with Pokestops and gyms that will allow you to power it up, giving you more items, as well as a new buddy interaction feature. And yeah, it's all related to these AR mapping tasks. Basically, if players in a local area do a whole bunch of AR mapping tasks with a certain point of interest, then they are able to power it up. And yeah, when you power it up to certain levels by doing a ridiculous amount of AR mapping tasks, then you will be able to get more items and better spawns and different things like that. So there is an incentive to actually do this to improve Pokestops that are locally in your area. Now, I honestly think a feature like this has a lot of upsides for every community. I don't actually think the powered up Pokestops and gyms is what players are frustrated about. I mean, for example, this could be a huge upgrade for rural players, especially for those who do not have that many Pokestops and gyms in their area. They could power up a particular Pokestop or gym so that they could stock up on more items, even though their area is not saturated with Pokestops and gyms. I think the big problem here is the fact that the only way you can obtain these level ups for these Pokestops and gyms is through AR mapping tasks. And again, it's like I said, until Niantic communicates clearly that AR mapping tasks are not causing the removal of Pokestops and gyms, then yes, I think a lot more players will be more active with them. I mean, it's not even just that. There is also the concern that they are actually using a lot of the data that we send them for their own nefarious purposes. I mean, big tech is always going to be that looming threat to a lot of people out there. And I don't really have too much to say on this matter, mainly because I don't have enough information. I'd like to do more research on what Niantic is doing with our data before I make a judgment call in that regard. But regardless, a lot of people are not comfortable with the fact that Niantic is just collecting a lot more data on our location, and they may feel like this is actually one of those ways that they're collecting that data. And I can totally understand that. I mean, people have a right to have their privacy respected, and some people are just not comfortable just giving out that data to a big company like Niantic. So it's all understandable, and I can see why having AR mapping tasks being the only requirement that is available to players to power up these Pokestops, that will definitely frustrate a lot of players. And one other complaint that I'm hearing a lot related to AR mapping tasks, and I also think this is also very understandable, but also very understandable on Niantic's part, is the fact that rather than focusing in on fixing current gameplay and current bugs, Niantic is focusing a lot of their resources on AR mapping stuff that typically players do not necessarily care about. The fact that Niantic is pushing AR mapping tasks even further with this new functionality just goes to show that they are more interested in pushing out new AR technologies rather than improving the gameplay of Pokemon GO and their other games. But again, I totally get where Niantic is coming from, because at the end of the day, they are a tech company more than they are a game development studio. And I think a lot of players have forgotten that fact when it comes to Niantic. So yeah, for them to push out more technology, I can understand why they would use their games as a platform for doing that. And we have to understand that this has been Niantic's intention all along. The fact that we really enjoy their game is just kind of a bonus to Niantic. Could that end up becoming a huge problem for Pokemon Go and Niantic's other games? Yeah, definitely, it can be a huge issue that we will need to address in the future. But if you fully understand Niantic's intentions with Pokemon Go and their games, but you enjoy what they end up giving you, then yes, you're going to feel less inclined to complain about it and just enjoy Pokemon Go for what it is. Even though they are using Pokemon Go as a springboard for their AR mapping technology, I still think they are trying to give players a very positive experience. I mean, they kind of have to if they want to get more people engaged with this game to actually push their technology even further. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's kind of a symbiotic relationship that they themselves have to maintain. Okay, so what can Niantic do to kind of quell this backlash? Well, first and foremost, I do think they need to give better options other than just AR mapping tasks to power up these Pokestops. Maybe they could do something where if you lure up that Pokestop, it will also add a point towards the level up bonus. Like, different things like that I think could go a long way, because this system does have a lot of potential to be a very positive force for every community. And I really do think Niantic need to build upon that, but they just need to approach it in a much different way. I'm not saying that they have to ditch AR mapping altogether, like maybe they could have AR mapping tasks award 2 points while everything else awards only 1 point, so this could still encourage players to use AR mapping if they so choose to do so. I mean, there's just a lot of things they could do to approach this correctly. And I really hope they continue to look at the data that they get from these test regions and then they come up with a proper solution that will make everyone happy. I do fully believe Niantic is capable of doing that, but what they really need to do is continue to open up that line between themselves and their players so that they are able to understand what players are frustrated about, but at the same time they could also understand what players want. That's really what it's going to come down to: communication. This is a key thing that Niantic needs to work on above anything else. If they are constantly communicating with their players and having that open dialogue, it's going to make Pokemon Go a lot better, and it's going to make the execution of new features like this a lot smoother as well. But yeah, these are just my thoughts and opinions regarding all of the backlash regarding the new features that are coming to Pokemon Go. And again, I don't think the features themselves are a problem. I just think the way Niantic executed it is what's ruffling a lot of players' feathers. And of course, this backlash could be a lot more overblown than it actually is. Of course, when it comes to Twitter and Reddit, there's always going to be a vocal minority of players who are extremely angry and unhappy at all times. So yeah, maybe it's just a case of that, but I really want to know your thoughts regarding all of this. Do you see this as a really big controversy, or are you one of those players who just simply does not care and are more excited for this feature to be released? Let me know your thoughts down below. I would love to know them. Let's have a great discussion. And again, if you ended up enjoying this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. It would definitely help me out a lot. And I am Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.